Let's go! No, you better not.
Welcome back to Noise News Spectrum. Hope you had a great long weekend.
On the agenda for today, a documentary on homelessness.
But first, sports. Over to you, Teddy.
Good morning, Spectrum. Teddy here with the sports for this week. Welcome back from MEA. It's getting colder and colder, and I'm sure you are all looking forward to the upcoming winter sports season. To start us off, we have a mandatory sports meeting for girls and boys basketball and wrestling. Basketball and wrestling will have theirs on Monday, November 7th at 6:30 p.m. These are mandatory for people in grades 7 through 12 wishing to join a winter sport. Now for actual sports, last week, girls varsity soccer had a final hurrah of the season with a game against ESCO, scoring a runners-up for the 7A sections finals, a historic moment for Spectrum girls soccer. For the rest of the week, we wrap up our fall sports with a girls varsity volleyball section game on Wednesday, October 26th at 7 p.m. And varsity cross country has a section meet Thursday, October 27th at 3:30 p.m. at Monticello. Thanks for tuning in, Spectrum. This has been Teddy with the sports for this week. Back to you, Aaron and Josh.
Thanks, Teddy.
Now we have a special presentation from Bella and I about homelessness in our local community.
A large group of homelessness that isn't talked about as much as it should be is youth homelessness. There is an organization that helps children experiencing homelessness that is located in Elk River.
I would say for youth, because that's the age range that we work with, so we work with youth ages 16 to 24. So I would say one of the biggest stigmas about that age range is that they are bad kids that got kicked out because they were behaving badly. Usually they leave their home because they don't feel safe there, and they find themselves in the situation that they're in due to other people's actions rather than their own, so circumstances beyond their control.
I think one of the biggest stigmas is that they're lazy and they just don't want to get a job. A lot of times there's life circumstances that get in the way, and a lot of times it's families and young children that can't get their own job.
Other than giving food and clothes, there are many other ways to help those in need.
I would say the biggest way that people can help in our community is to be open-minded about the issues around youth experiencing homelessness, and to kind of be willing to hear about the unique challenges that they face, especially in rural communities, and to continue to talk about it and raise awareness and be informed and educated about issues around homelessness.
Young people who become homeless are depicted in the media in various different ways. One of those ways is coming from families of violence and abuse.
I would say, again, for youth experiencing homelessness, some of the main or the most common reasons that they find themselves in the situation that they're in is a lot of different kinds of abuse in the home, like verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, substance use disorders. And so a lot of times they feel like they need to leave for their own safety, and it's not safe for them to stay in their own home. So that's a big reason. A lot of the youth age out of foster care, so at age 18 they can leave. And so they do that because sometimes the foster care situation isn't really meeting their needs, and so they think they're better off on their own, but they often find that they lack the skills and the finances to live on their own. So aging out of foster care, oftentimes if a youth identifies as LGBTQ+, their family kicks them out. They're not accepting of who they are and how they identify, so they find themselves out on the streets pretty much because of who they are as a person. And generational poverty, a lot of times families from generation to generation really struggle and are living in poverty, and so sometimes if a young person is the oldest in the family and they're 18 or older, sometimes they leave or they're asked to leave to support themselves because the family just is in abject poverty most of the time. So I'd say those are the main reasons. There's lots of different reasons, but those are kind of the top ones.
Being or becoming homeless can happen to anyone, so that's why it's important to appreciate everything you have and never take anything for granted.
A young person who came to us early on, I would say in about 2017, and they were living in a tent in a campground. They had left their family home because of lots of different kinds of abuse going on in the home, and they definitely were not safe in that situation. So when they came to us, they were living in a tent in a campground with their partner at the time. And eventually it got cold, so they moved into a car, which was a little bit better, but still homeless. And so we worked with this young person, trying to help them find some stability, think about some housing resources, and just fulfilling their basic needs. And then we lost touch with them, which often happens with the youth that we work with. They move somewhere else, they find a relative to live with in a different city or even in a different state. And so we lost touch with this young person for about a year. And then they came back to the Elk River community. And at that time, they had a child with them at that time. And we really witnessed a huge transformation with this young person. When they returned, they were really determined to change their life for themselves and for their young child. And so they went back to school to get their GED. This is, a young adult now. I think probably they were about 20. So a tough thing to go back into high school. You already have a child. You've done a lot of adult things in your life, but they were very determined. So they went back and got their GED. Did some college classes. Met another partner who was kinder to them and supportive. And so this young person was very determined to change the trajectory of their life and the life of their young child.
Being homeless can be very traumatic and is something people never forget about.
For young people, that experience of homelessness doesn't ever really leave them. So they might really change their situation and find so much more stability and housing and supportive relationships. But the experience of being homeless never really leaves you. And so there's a lot of trauma that goes along with that. So sometimes that kind of resurfaces.
I guess I would just like to say that it's okay if you're struggling with homelessness. It doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't make any of these stigmas right. So make sure that you're reaching out, and it's just really important that you feel like you're supported, because we're here for you.
If you or someone you know is experiencing homelessness, you're not alone. Please reach out. There are various organizations that have made it their mission to help you get the help you need. This has been Belle and Aaron, Noise News.
Thanks, Crew. What an interesting story.
Well, that's all we've got for you, Spectrum. This has been Aaron
And Josh,
keeping you
in on the noise.
So what did you do over MEA?
It was great. I relaxed and watched Netflix. Homelessness.
Tess, Teddy, tell me how much you love me.
I don't. Will had their English sports meet. Will had their winter sports meeting.
Where does...
I really wish I had some competition instead of just playing by myself.
We're here to play against you. Be prepared to lose. If you're a girl at Spectrum High School and you want to show off your football skills, this is the time for you.
Make sure you fill out the Google form by scanning the QR codes in the hallway or talk to a grade leader in your grade. The leaders for each grade are as follows. 9th, Lily Danis and Danica Orth. 10th, Natalie White and Addison Thompson.
The leaders for 11th grade are Etta Glinsek and Allie Cook. 12th grade are Molly Novotny and Morgan Alders.
Powder Puff will take place November 11th at 6 p.m. at the Athletic Complex football field.
All spectators get free hot chocolate, so make sure you show up and show your support.
We can't wait to see you there!
Go long!